Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first of many little videos that I'll be making as we move online for our course. I've been teaching online for about 12 years. I've taught dozens of philosophy courses online, and I've literally made hundreds and hundreds of these sort of informal videos from my classes over that time. I'm used to trying to get points across in these videos. I'm used to focusing students on very difficult texts and explaining parts of the text and stuff like that. But those are philosophy courses. IH is different. IH is not about um, a teacher walking you through something or explaining to you what the text means. IH is different. IH is about you reading a text. So these videos that I'll be making, I will try to refrain from being that philosophy teacher and explaining everything. I believe that our class should try to remain as conversational as possible. After all, what you're really doing is just responding to the text and the work that you do. So you just keep on doing that. It's just that I thought that a short video on each of the readings might help to supplement what's going on or what was going on in the classroom, along with the discussion boards now that you'll be doing for each text. This is Paul's letter to the Romans. This is Paul of Tarsus. Paul was an early Christian convert who became a leader in the early Christian church, and Romans is the letter to the Romans, which is a letter giving guidance to an early Christian community in Rome. Paul wrote many letters to different early Christian communities. You might know Paul's letter to the Corinthians or the Ephesians or the Thessalonians. Those are all cities in Greece and Italy, around the Mediterranean in the early years of Christianity when these Christian communities were popping up, and Paul was a leader and a source of authority who would write these letters to these early Christian communities and giving them guidance. This is a particularly interesting one, I think, Romans, and a particularly interesting part of it. I'll just tell you why I chose it. How about that? It's really interesting. As you'll see, one of the big issues here is the issue of sin and the issue of grace. And in a certain respect, also the issue of the law, because Paul was Jewish. I mean, and Jesus was Jewish, and the center of life was the law that was given to the Israelites in Exodus, the law that was the gift of God to the Israelites. And so it's quite clear that one of the things that Paul needs to clarify for early Christians is what is their relationship to the law? Do they need to keep the law? Do they need to be circumcised? Do they need to keep, the dietary laws and stuff like that? Now, although this particular passage doesn't address those things particularly, it does talk about the law and this new conception of the relationship of the human being to the law and to sin. I think that there's a lot of interesting stuff here, especially about human nature. There's some really striking lines. Some of my favorite lines have to do with Paul talking about himself, how sinful he is, and how he seems divided, this division between the flesh and the spirit, and this inability to do what he really wants to do, which I think is a really interesting idea. And I think he's saying they were all in the same boat, that he's at least claiming that he doesn't do what he loves, he does what he hates, and he feels that this is a terrible situation. For instance, here, page 6, for that which I do, I allow not. For what I would, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. It's a beautiful way of expressing it, maybe a little difficult. For that which I do, I allow not. That is, what I actually do, I don't approve of. For what I would, that is, what I would like to do, that do I not. But what I hate, that do I. Really pretty amazing, I don't know, confession in a way, or a notion of what it means to be a human being. And of course, this all leads up to the need for grace, for help. And this is, I suppose, the real meaning of Christ. His notion of Christ was the person or the force that could heal that kind of division. I mean, it's really, there's a lot of stuff here. It's really interesting. And I'm glad we're reading more Christian documents. I wasn't really satisfied with what we looked into in the Gospel of John. I think there was a lot, we really didn't get a notion of what Christianity might really all be all about. So I'm glad we're looking at further Christian documents.